welcome to my live Q&A session for how to cover all your questions that you've been sending me in the last 24 hours. And also, I've got so many to get through, which is great. And I'm glad you guys are reaching out for help, because that's important. I want you to know that you are supported. You know, there are people around who can help you during these difficult times, and you are not alone. You know, breakups are extremely difficult at the best of times. You know, we all have to cope with, you know, what's going on at the moment, with increased fear, increased anxiety, lots more worries, and not just about our health and our loved ones, but also about finances, about work, about parenting, how our kids are coping, how our elderly relatives might be dealing with things. So please don't underestimate all that stress that is coming as well. So if you're going through a breakup too, that is a double whammy, more than a double whammy, a triple, quadruple whammy, right? So what I want to make sure that you know that you're not alone, and that it is totally normal. Please be reassured that it is totally normal to be living in this heightened state of anxiety, and to maybe be feeling your breakup even more now than you have done before. So that's totally normal. So I don't want you to think there's something wrong with you, it's not right. It's totally normal. And you'll see from some of the emails that I've got in over the last 24 hours that there are some strange things at play with the way we're thinking about things. You know, I've got one here from a lady who, this one is an interesting one, because there's more here at stake. So I'm going to read some of it out, but obviously I can't read it out word for word, but I could do with your advice, Sarah. My ex has got in contact after 13 years. Okay, 13 years, guys. So we've got a daughter together, but he's always been in and out of prison, and he's had drug, alcohol, mental health problems. Okay. So her issue is within 20 minutes of speaking to him on the phone, it was like they'd never been apart. So she felt the way she felt when she first met him, and he's been saying some really nice things. And talking about intimate details as well, says they're soulmates, and she's wondering whether actually they might be. She can't tell anybody, her friends or whatever, about what's happened, because he's been abusive to her in the past. So family members and friends would have no tolerance for it. But since speaking to him, she can't stop thinking about him. And she's asking, why does she have such a strong pull towards him? Well, guys, I can tell you why. And we all know this. This is at times of need like this, we reach out to people that we've had strong connections with. It's totally natural to want to reconnect with those people that have been there for you in tough times, that you think, you know, at some point have been that strong person, have been that ability. Hi, JC. Jason Bale's just joined us. Love you. So it is normal to reach out to people that we've had those strong connections with, and we reach out to them again because we want that love and support from them. But here she's asking me, maybe now he's changed, he's matured, he's got some help for his problems, and he's maybe improved. She says she hasn't been dating since, because he broke her heart into a million pieces, and she's a little bit scared of him still. Plus, and there's a plus, he is actually still in a relationship with someone, but he doesn't feel that she loves him. Okay, so I know some of my coaches have joined, and hi guys, thanks for joining, Karen and Luke. And I'm sure they're going to say similar things to me about this. So what I would say is, obviously, if you have been in a domestically abusive relationship, please, please, please don't go back. I know it's very simple advice, but it's true. You cannot go back to someone that has been abusive towards you, because what it's doing is it's showing them that it's okay to treat you that way. They may have changed. Oh, absolutely. And I think some people can change, but I also think a lot of people can't change. A lot of people can't change. They are who they are. And that is something that is going to be a massive risk factor. So why would you take that risk right now? Now, I know why you're feeling the way you are, and that's because you've got that connection still. You know, and he knows what buttons to push, as most abusers will know. They'll know that if they say certain things and remind you of certain amazing times you had together, then that's going to trigger you to then want to have more contact on the carrot. They know exactly what to do. So if any of you watching here, and thanks for joining us, everyone, if any of you have been through difficult abusive relationships, please pop down below. And I know Karen, who's one of my breakup and divorce coach practitioners, is actually, she actually specializes, like I do, in domestic abuse as well. So She's saying here, great advice. The risk escalates if you leave and then go back. Yes, the stats show that. They prove that you are more at risk, okay? And why do you think that is? That's because you're setting the standard. You're saying, that way you treated me before, I accept that. It's okay. You're sort of normalizing it, minimalizing it, and that is something we can't. So the answer to this is, it's natural to feel this way. And, you know, it is natural to feel like you want to go back because you've got that connection still. And also you've been trained over a long period of time. And that connection was deep, you know, and that conditioning to be in an abusive relationship, just to stay in an abusive relationship, you have to be able to see more good than bad. Otherwise you wouldn't be in it, right? So that conditioning still exists and they can access, which is why the advice from all the domestic abuse charities is no contact, no contact. Because the thing is, we are easily hooked back into that situation again. So I know it's tough love here from me, and I'm sorry, but I am here to advise you as a coach. And I would say it's normal how you're feeling. So please, please don't feel like there's something wrong with you, because it's totally natural and normal because of the situation that you are feeling like this. You know, the fact that you are highly empathetic is why you got into and remained in an abusive relationship for a long period of time. However, the important thing to know is that you can't go back. No contact, because this is what happens when you have contact. They trigger you again and they get you back in. And so what we want is no contact. And then if, for example, you do have contact like this, then understand that it will trigger those things. This is how you are going to feel. But you are potentially in huge danger. And I don't know whether you have children with him or not. It doesn't say. Plus the fact he's in another relationship. So that's another difficult dynamic as well. But that's not the reason. And I think someone's just joined. I've just answered that question, so hopefully you'll be able to catch this on live, because literally I've just gone through your whole scenario and talked about it. And I think that, hi Marco, I think that it's super important that you don't go back to someone that's been abusive to you. Okay, this is absolutely vital for any of you. And I know a lot of my followers, and I know a lot of you have been in abusive relationships. I know that you have. Please do check out my free videos on my website, on my homepage. There's a question button at the top that says, are you in an abusive relationship? Click on that, watch those videos. They're totally free, but they're designed to show you what an abusive relationship is, how we get into it, why we stay, and then how you can get out safely. Now, this lady is out. Please stay out. You are trained to want to go back, because that's the nature of an abusive relationship, and they can get their hooks into you again. But please don't go back. Okay, so I have answered that question now, so I'm going to move on. I've got another question here. What's the process to choose the right way forward towards a new life? My husband needs support. I'm grieving him and anticipate really losing him. So basically they were separated not long before isolation. So anyone else here, let me know if you separated just before you went into isolation, because there are a lot of people in the situation, and that is incredibly difficult because you're not used to being single. And the coping mechanisms that we usually talk about to keep you safe during that first initial, you know, and to feel loved, is to get out and about, get distracted, surround yourself with friends and family. Obviously you can't do that now given isolation, which is again another reason why I am running these, because these are here to support you if you are going through that situation. So this lady was separated not long before isolation. It was very hard to separate, but she said it was necessary. Then a month later, he can't even visit because he's a vector for COVID and she's high risk. So it's forced separation. She says it's good, but he could get very sick and that feels really bad too. So she's worried about him, and she's worried. So, okay, she's worried that he might die, he might get ill. It's not a high likelihood, but it's a fear. Now, okay, this is something that I'm seeing time and time again right now. And again, it's 100% normal. So I want you to be reassured that this is normal, but your brain will go to the worst case scenario. Okay, so she's now worried. She can't see her ex-husband. So if you look at it, what she's actually written, that she was actually pleased that they separated. It could actually well have been her. I think it could have been her that's actually left, because she said there might have been some abuse in there. So you know, she's actually quite pleased she's left, but now her brain is playing that normal trick. Oh, what if worst scenario happens? Now this is normal. We will go to the worst case scenario. I'm sure we all have done that over this period of time. However, that is not, she said here, the likelihood that he's going to get ill. Now, obviously, some people will get ill, most of us will recover. So going to the worst case scenario and thinking she might be going through a divorce and grieving his death is too much. I mean, she's written that here. I could, like, designed to help you and support you through those tough times. And that's what I want to offer you during this time, to give you a bit of support, but also some hope that this doesn't last forever. And that confusion right now, because you don't have clarity, is normal. And it may be that you don't get that clarity for a while. So searching for something that you're not going to get, searching for answers that you're not going to get, again, is difficult. So what we need to do is take control of what's going on in here and start feeding ourselves some other questions. Like, what can you control right now? What can you do to make a difference? Now, obviously, you've still got your boys with you right now. So it's about focusing in on them and making sure they are good. Okay, they are coping, they are doing what they need. So and they're getting what they need from you. You know, it's important that you can share your emotions with them without the uncontrollable panic, sobbing, overwhelm, which I know that you go through during a breakup. Well, I've been there, I know what it's like. So what I'm saying is, I think it's important that you are open with your voice and you can say, you know, Mummy's sad today, but then give them the tools to pull yourself out of it. So this is how I cheer myself up. Okay, what can we do to cheer Mummy up? Or what can we do for you if you're feeling low to cheer you up? And I made them realize that everyone is different. So each of your two boys will react differently to different motivations. You know, some kids are motivated, like, for example, by dangling a reward. Some are like, if you don't do this, this is going to happen to you, the pain factor. So everybody is different. So work out what treat, what reward, what they'll move towards, what works for them to cheer them up. So one of them might prefer listening to music. One might prefer actually having a dance. One of them might just want to cuddle for mum, you know. It's important for them not to become dependent on other people to change their state, though. We all have to be able to change our state in a heartbeat, and that means by taking control. So it could be just shifting their body language, or, you know, 5-star jumps is always a good game changer, state changer, and it works right away. So use that. It is powerful. It's super, super powerful. So we've got about taking control of your emotions. We've got about taking control of things that worry you, and things that really overwhelm you. So please drop your questions in. I know I've got some coming through here. Drop your questions in about your breakups and your divorce, and I will answer them for you live. So if you've got anything that you want me to answer right now, do put them on. I know I'm on YouTube too. So YouTube or Instagram, just pop them down and I will get to them. I will answer them. Okay, so what else have we got here? Okay, narcissist again. So self-taught in all things narcissistic and learned how to cope with my breakup, and I'm seriously struggling. Okay, so when you're going through a breakup, any kind of breakup, it's going to be difficult. If you are going through a breakup with somebody who is incredibly difficult personality. So I'm not a psychologist or psychiatrist or an ornologist or any iatrist, okay? But I'm a coach. And difficult people can be a whole wide range of different personality disorders, just a bit selfish, you know, completely psychotic. Yeah, there's a whole range, okay? Now, I don't diagnose, and I advise you not to. What we've got to look at is, what is that difficult behavior and how does it manifest, and how do you manage that? Because difficult people are going to show up in all areas of your life, not just relationships, but intimate relationships. They might be your boss. You know, I've got clients at the moment who are struggling with very difficult bosses. It might be a mother-in-law. It could be a friend that you have to spend time with. It could be a colleague. So, you know, these people show up in lots of different places. So these skills are life skills that can really help you if you learn how to manage that game and what to do with it. So first thing is to get clarity on what is their strategy. And these people have a strategy, and it's about learning the strategy. I don't like the word game, but whether you like it or not, if you are, and this lady says she's dealing with a narcissistic behavior, that's a game. You know, the narcissist is playing that game. So the only way for you to cope better is to learn the rules of that game, master them, and be 2 steps ahead, because they are textbook in the way they deal with things. And if you want more information on that, then do follow my really good friend Richard Grannon, who does videos a lot on this. This is his specialist subject. This is what he deals with. Richard Grannon, Grannon. I know some of you are making notes. I can see you telling me that. He's really good. And he ran a workshop, which is on YouTube. And he invited me to speak. And he was also speaking with Dr. Sam Vaknin. Dr. Sam Vaknin is diagnosed as a narcissist with the personality disorder. And he talks about what life is like to be a narcissist. And it's quite shocking. So for those of you who have been in abusive relationships, all of you that have sent me these emails in today about abusive relationships, please note that that will really help you. It's called Divorcing a Narcissist, the YouTube video. And Dr. Sam Vaknin is talking about being a narcissist. He does upset a lot of the audience members, which you will see. And if you have been affected by this, you may find it difficult to listen to. But again, it's good education. And Richard used to date narcissistic women, so he has his take on it and he's a psychologist, so he knows what he's talking about when it comes to this. It is a specialist subject. So what I'm saying is, don't get stuck in this pool and this quagmire or cesspit, if you like, of forums and advice and experts in this kind of difficult people, because it's not going to help you. You want to get the information. Now, Richard Grandin does lots of videos. The Divorcing a Narcissist one is interesting because it talks a little bit about divorce and if you're going through a divorce, but it also gives you Dr. Sam Vaknin's view. You can follow Sam as well. He's on Dr. Sam Vaknin on Instagram and Richard on Instagram, but Richard on YouTube is phenomenal. He has lots of videos, and I highly recommend that you follow him. He's a great guy and really good at what he does. I'll give you some information to learn the rules of the game I'm talking about. Learn the rules of the game and then use them. Get out of the cesspit of connecting them on that level, because if you are a survivor of abuse, then it's in your past. And even though you bear the scars, they do not have to define you. Okay, I'm huge on that, please. Yeah, Richard Grandin, thumbs up. Yeah, we love him. So yes, I think the thing is to know that when you've gone through a difficult relationship, any kind of breakup, you know, is traumatic. Okay, any kind of breakup is traumatic. And what we need to learn from that is not, oh my goodness, my life is over. We need to learn, actually, this has taught me something. Now, what has it taught me? Okay, it's taught me some really important lessons. And that's what I want for you, to turn this into a positive learning experience where you can say, yes, it hurts, and I'm going to process that. And I'm going to go through that grieving process of the loss cycle, which is in both of my books. And again, this one is available just for £1 on Kindle. You can get the hardback version, obviously, but it's £1 on Kindle because I want as many people to have the information as possible. But when we go through a breakup, we go through the loss cycle, 5 stages. Number 1, denial. Stick your head in the sand. You know, I talk a bit on some of my videos about when you put your head in the sand and you pretend it's not happening to you. You may not even talk to your friends about it, because then it makes it almost more real. The second stage, anger. Some of you won't go to anger, some of them will go to stress, anxiety. But actually, I think that it's really, really important. So I'm just reading some of the things going on. Back now, PhD. Okay, well, I mean, I find his work really useful and insightful. So you've got to make your own opinions of people, okay? I think he's good, but you can, yeah, sure. I'm not sure about the details of it. I don't endorse anybody. I'm just saying this is useful information. But Richard Grandin is the one that I say is brilliant at what he does, because he's helped a lot of people and gives a lot of clarity. Okay, so going through the loss cycle, we've got denial, then anger. Now, anger might show up as stress or a different emotion. Like, some of you won't be angry people, especially people that have been through an abusive relationship. You may have had that beaten out of you, but it will still show in some way. Okay, it will still show up in some way. So I want you to think about what that might be for you, but it will be a heightened level of resentment, blame, frustration, okay, towards somebody. And it might just be frustration, maybe not anger, but actually letting that anger out in some way is really healthy. And then we sort of come to bargaining. Now, this is when you kind of change your behavior to try and keep the status quo. Even if you hate the relationship you're in or the place you're in, you might try and get them back. You might try and be asking questions to say, okay, well, what about this? What about that? Can I make this work? Can I change myself? You might start, if you're still with your partner, you might start cooking them a special dinner every day, or you might start making more effort with your appearance. You might change your behavior to please them more. All these things may be sustainable to pull your relationship back, but then again, they may be untenable. They may be compromising who you are as a person, your morals and your values. Maybe you're having to do things that you don't feel comfortable with. or you think are unfair, or you shouldn't have to do in a relationship to make it work. So that means that you can try them for a while, but it's not going to work out in the long run. The next stage is depression, and that is the stage that you have to go through to grieve the end of a relationship. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to last forever, and that's the important message from this. I know a lot of you are going through that right now. You're feeling sad. Heap on top of that COVID-19, isolation, everything else. Of course, you're going to feel like that, but it's not what happens to you in life, it's what you do about it that makes you the person you are. Now, that's my really important motto for life, really. It doesn't matter what happens to you. Some really bad stuff happens to a lot of people. And actually, right now, if you think about it, there's always going to be a lot of people worse off than you. So that perspective should give you a little bit of shift in reality. But it's real for you right now. So what can we do about it? Well, you've got two choices, haven't you? You can go down and be defeated by it. You can go down and this can become your new label that you drag around with you as your baggage. And every time you speak to somebody, whether that's the hairdresser, the butcher, the shopkeeper, your best friend, your mum, your aunt, whoever, you tell the story. Or we can start to shift that into, you know what? Sometimes really tough stuff happens, but actually charged forward to the next stage. The next stage is acceptance. Now, acceptance kind of go up a bit of the curb energy-wise to get to acceptance from depression. And when you get there, it's kind of like you've taken your rose-tinted glasses off. So Donna's asking, how long should depression period last? I feel like I'm still struggling. It's been 2 years. Okay, so this is the other interesting thing. It's when you decide, okay? When you decide enough is enough. I am done with this. Because you, and I'm not being unkind to you, I'm trying to best support you, okay? But as your coach, we do depression, right? We do happiness, we do fear, we do panic. It's a behavior that we do. Now, I'm not saying it's not justified. I'm not saying it's not, it's easy to shift out of it, especially if it's become an ingrained pattern. But what I would suggest is to first try starting to break that pattern in small ways. Okay, and one of the ways is to think about where you get to when you get to acceptance. Just knowing that acceptance is just literally within your grasp with Donna now. Because if you've done that for so long, the next stage is acceptance. Now that is where you know the relationship is done. So either you've decided you're not going back, or you know for a fact they're not coming back in, there's nothing you can do about it. So you're like, okay, I get it. We're not going back. This is it. You've kind of taken off the rose-tinted glasses too, the ones that we strap to our face, right? You take them off, and that can be hard because we like to romanticize, don't we, about our last relationships and how good it was at times. And I'm not saying it wasn't, but our brain will trick us to go into those really super lovely moments rather than thinking about the really tough times or the things you really couldn't bear. Okay, so that's an important distinction to make. So actually, when you get to acceptance, you're kind of done with all that and you're like, okay, I'm here. But people get stuck at acceptance because they can't see the future. And that's why people sometimes slip down the curb to depression and feel like they're not actually moving forward. It's because they've got either the future represents a blank canvas or a black hole. So which one are you, Donna? What does it look like right now? Because what we have to do now, you and me, is put as much color onto this future as possible, to turn the lights on in the black hole, or throw as much color at the blank canvas as we possibly can to get you excited about moving forward. Okay, and I know you're saying that the rose tinted glasses is a big thing. It is. And what will help you with that is my exercise on writing down absolutely everything that wasn't right about your relationship for you, that made you feel bad, that pissed you off, upset you, made you cry, made you feel less than, irritated you, small things, big things, but write them all down. And then have that as a focus. So when you go back to romanticizing about what a perfect relationship and what you've lost, you can go, actually, let me just shift my focus. Again, shifting your focus and taking control of this is all part of starting to feel better and taking your control back over your life again. You know, unfortunately, to break through a breakup, you have to do stuff. Okay, you have to take massive action. You can't just sit there and say, oh, time will heal. I mean, time does heal, and I do believe that over time we look back with less emotional intensity, but it won't resolve the issues unless you face them head on and you do these exercises to dial down that intensity, process it, and actually learn how to create the compelling future that gets you genuinely motivated and excited to move towards it. So what I want you to do is to start thinking about what you can throw at this canvas, what colors, what pictures. So what do I mean by that? Well, write, for example, your breakup bucket list. Everything you can do now that you couldn't have done during your relationship. And that could be small things by having like bright pink nail polish to remind you to smile every day, or yellow, or something random. Got lots of time to paint our nails at the moment. Or it could be something like, you know, when this is done, I want to go on a trip, and you can spend this time planning it. Or I want to take up a new skill. You know, I want to take up a new skill, or I want to train to do something new. You know, I mean, a lot of my clients end up training with me to become breakup and divorce coach practitioners because it's something that they carries on here. So a lot of my coaches, Luke and Karen. So, I mean, it's a way to take your control back. Okay, you're going to get a dog, finally, yay. Okay, so that's great. So all these things are putting color on here, but I want you to think a bit longer term. Who do you want to become? What do you want life to be like? What do you want to stop doing? We talked a little bit about this yesterday, detoxing your life. What do you want to do? What do you want to do less of? Who do you not want to see so much in your world anymore? Who do you want to see more of? You know, these things are really important to start to get a grip on how you're going to design your future, because you've got to set it up the way that it's going to work for you. So the way it's going to work for you isn't going to work for somebody else. So what is personal to you? You know, and you're saying we, so I imagine you've got kids with you at home and stuff. So that's Dawn. So yeah. So I mean, there's lots of questions going through. So yeah, that's okay, Dawn. I just want you to start thinking, because the more you can shift your focus from the now, stop reliving the story. Okay, stop reliving it. Stop telling it. Replace it with something else. Come up with something else, something that's going to get you excited about the future. It might be a small thing, it might be a big thing. I suggest starting with lots of little things, because the interesting thing is that the smallest things can have the biggest impact. You know, if you're do something different in your home environment too, because you need to make a conscious shift now to moving through to that acceptance and powering through into creating a compelling, exciting future for you. So for example, in your lounge, go now when I finish in a little bit, and then shift the furniture around. It may not look the best, okay, interior design, you know, but I want you to shift things around. Move the plates where the pots are and the pots where the pans are. Just swap things around, because it's actually going to interrupt your pattern, and that's what we need. We need to interrupt you walking around your house feeling the same way. Okay, we want to remind you that you've got your whole future ahead of you, and it's up to you to grab it and make the most of it right now. We have to do things that remind us to think slightly differently. That's what it's about, because you're trained in a certain way. Another quick tip I'm going to give you before we finish is don't use your ex's name. If you're living in a house with kids, that could be a little bit hard, but when you're talking to friends and things like that, please don't use your ex's name, because it has so much emotion triggered by a name, okay, or a nickname especially. So what I always suggest is reducing that first name down to the first letter. So for example, if it was Robert or Rachel, it would be an R. But I'm not talking like a full caps big R. I'm talking like a teeny weeny little R, okay? And then when you're typing, you're writing, you're talking, you refer to them as R, but small r, right? Because what it does is it decreases the intensity and puts you a little bit more in control. So there's little techniques like this which you can get from my books, or or during these sessions, if you write to me and send me your questions in, that I can specifically answer for you, that will massively help. So I would like you to have a think about how you're going to change your homes around right now. One thing you can move, one thing you can start, even if it's the forks and the knives, just try it for 24 hours. You can always go back, guys, to what you were doing before. But please try something new, because that's when we start to see the changes, okay? And sometimes, as I said, it's the smallest things that can make the most big differences and really start things around. But ultimately, it comes down to you. You have to decide enough's enough when you're ready for that. Enough's enough. I'm not going to live my life like this anymore. How much time am I going to, I'm here. If you want coaching one-to-one with me, please do email me, sarah@sarahdavidson.com, and I can delve into your personal situations more, because it's difficult on short emails to really be able to get to the crux of things. If you want to send me your questions, do drop them either below some of my posts on Instagram, or DM me on Instagram, or email me, sarah@sarahdavidson.com, because I'm doing these at 2 p.m. every weekday. So you can send your questions in over the weekend, have a think. Let me know how you're getting on with changing things around and what you're changing, because I tell you what, You guys sharing under my posts on Instagram massively helps other people. Okay, it's all very well me sitting here telling people things and sharing my ideas that work for me, but actually when people connect underneath and share their ideas and tell other people about it, it really helps. And I get so much positive feedback when people saying, gosh, the people who follow you are so caring and they've helped me a lot just by sharing their ideas. So please do continue to do that. And know that I'm here. You know, you're not alone. There's a lot of us going through this, as you can see. There's lots of people joining. And great weekend. Try some of the stuff and let me know how it goes. That is so true. Some very kind souls have reached out to me and have helped me so much. Oh, that's really sweet. I know, and I've seen that happen. And it's so important, you know, especially at times like this when we're slightly fearful and panicky. You know, I think one of the most important things to know is that actually giving love, showing kindness, no matter what we're all going through, makes the world a better place, and we can come out of this stronger and happier. Okay, mwah, love you loads, and I'll see you on Monday. Bye, guys.